So I decided to end my turn, and now I'm going to...
Okay, so for my turn, I'm going to flip my blessing. Blessing of Aurora, which adds to a non-combat intelligence check. Okay, so I also have a special ability that says at the start of your turn, you may exchange one card in your hand with one card of the same type from your discard pile. Well, I'm actually going to use that ability. I'm going to get rid of my Caltrops and actually bring back my Amulet of Life that's in my graveyard. A really neat ability that Lem has. Alright, where should we go to next?
Why don't we go to the woods?
The woods? Okay, so I'll move over to the woods. The woods say any undefeated monsters other than villains or henchmen are banished. So we don't have to worry if we lose a fight, they're going to be gone. They won't get reshuffled back in. The problem we're going to have here is closing it, because it says to succeed at a wisdom or survival check, which neither of us have a good wisdom. We both have a D6, I believe. So we'll just have to hope for the best. The first thing I'm going to do while I'm here, though, is I'm going to cast Detect Magic, which says discard this card to examine the top card of your location deck. If the card is a blessing or has the magic trait, you may immediately encounter it. Otherwise, return it to the top of the deck. So I'm going to reveal, and it is a Blessing of the Gods. So I may immediately encounter it. And Blessing of the Gods says if you encounter this card, you automatically acquire it. So I was pretty lucky.
Is that a card you
Now,
have to recharge?
The other good thing is if we look at the little chart here that shows how many cards are in the deck, we notice that next to Blessing it says 0. So because I ran across a Blessing and there's no Blessing supposed to be in this deck, that means the villain has run away to the wooden bridge. So we at least know where the villain is at the moment. We don't know where on the deck he is, but we do know he's there. So maybe we can come across some kind of strategy or something. Now, Detect Magic says if you do not have either Arcane or Divine, banish this card. Well, Lem the Bard starts with both. So it says recharge, succeed in an Arcane or Divine 14 check to recharge this card instead of discarding it. I've looked at the forums and I found that that is actually a misprint. It's only supposed to be a Divine 4 check. Or Arcane 4. So I just have to roll my D10 plus 1. I only need a 4 to recharge it. I got a 7. So that's going to recharge. And then I get to explore. And I find the Traitor. And he says, before the encounter, discard a random ally from your hand. Well, I don't have any allies, so I don't have to discard any from my hand. I'm going to use my light crossbow, which gives me 2d8. I'm going to use a Blessing of the Gods for an extra d8. And because Joella's not here with me, I don't get the extra d4 from her special power. So I'll be rolling a straight up 3d8 and hope I can get an 11. 8, 8, and 3, which is 19, so that's going to be more than enough. So I managed to defeat the Traitor. That crossbow's turning out to be really, really good. Now, I could explore again, but I'd rather wait until I have some help from Valeros, so I'm just going to draw my cards and end my turn. 2 more Blessings of the Gods. Go ahead, Joella.
So, I'm gonna... it's a Blessing of
Aurora,
and discard this card to add 2 dice to a non-combat intelligence check. Well, as Chris was saying, the wooden bridge does have the villain, and I believe Chris was hinting for me to go to the woods to assist him.
Well, we could also go to the wooden bridge and go after the villain. Because if I stay in the woods and you find the villain, I can attempt to temporarily close this location so he has nowhere to run. And then we would defeat him and the adventure would be over. So it's totally up to you, Joella.
Oh, I'll go to the wooden bridge.
Okay.
I'm gonna explore. Ambush.
You found ambush.
Wisdom, perception, dexterity, acrobatics. Well, my dexterity is a D8, so if I don't have any blessings or any help, I'm going to fail. So I will use my blessing.
I wouldn't. Because if we let the ambush go off, you get to go until you find monster and fight it. The villain is considered a monster, so he could ambush you.
He could.
And with what you've got in your, like, you've got a weapon in your hand, so you should be able to fight no matter what comes up against you. So I think we should just let you fail this one.
Okay.
Okay, so the ambush fails. We reveal cards until we find the first monster in the deck.
I did have a Thieves' Tools. I didn't think about
We
using that.
found a hill giant, which says damage dealt by the hill giant is dealt to each character at this location.
Ooh.
That would really hurt if we were both together. He's a combat 15 though. Why there's a hill giant on a wooden bridge, I'm not too sure. But that's some of the fun of the enjoyment of this game, is that it can be so random and weird.
So, Chris, instead of when we were talking about that ambush, should I have used my Thieves' Tools?
You could have, except it's not a...
It's a barrier.
It's a barrier. Yeah, you could have used your Thieves' Tools to get past it.
I guess I thought too fast before I looked at my cards.
That's okay. You should be able to take this guy.
Okay, so combat is my strength, melee strength +3, so a D10. But if I lose my, I'm going to be losing my long spear, so a D10, a D8, and I would like to use my blessing of the gods.
Okay.
For another D10.
And I'm also going to throw a blessing of the gods for you for another D10.
Now I'm only using this.
That's fine, it's a D10. And you get to add +3.
I have a 9 and a 3, which is 12. And another 9, I believe.
Yeah.
And a 7.
So that's going to be more than enough.
Yes.
Because that's 28, I believe. +3 is 31.
Yes.
You beat him so hard he went running back to his mommy.
Absolutely. Crying. Okay. Now, was that the henchman?
Nope. That
Nope.
was just a regular monster.
Well, I could use my...
The henchmen are bandits.
That's true. I could use my crow to explore again. Which I think I might.
Okay.
Unless that is a bad choice.
No, it's totally up to you. It's never a bad thing to keep exploring. Well,
But-
that's not true, but
But I do have a weapon in my hand, so I didn't leave myself too defenseless.
the zombie giant. The zombie giant is immune to mental and poison, and if undefeated, after the encounter, discard the top card of your deck. He's not nearly as strong as the last guy. He's only a 13.
That's true.
So your long spear will give you a D10 and a D8.
Yes.
That-
+3.
That's 2D10. That's better. +3. I will throw another blessing of the gods for you,
For another D10.
and that's all we can do.
+3.
And you get +3.
I have a 10, 18, and 3...
21.
21.
That's more than enough to beat the giant. Now, on the last roll, you were actually supposed to -1 from each dice because of the ambush effect,
Oh,
which we
yes.
totally forgot. But you had rolled a 31 on 4 dice.
That's
so you
right.
-4, it's still a 27. You still beat him.
And this one I still beat him?
Yeah, because you don't get the minuses here because it wasn't an ambush.
That's right. Okay. Well, I have nothing else, so I explore again, so I believe that will be the end of my turn. I'm going to drop to my hand size of 4.
Okay. So I'm going to stay here at the woods because I think that's the best thing we can do. Just in case you come across the bad guy, we have the ability to close and see what happens. So I'll do my encounter, which is a quarterstaff, which is a melee weapon. Takes a strength of 3. I have a D4 strength, so I might get it. Need a 4 or 3. I got a 3. I got a quarterstaff. Woohoo!
Good for you.
I'm not going to use my blessing to search again because I'm okay just sitting here waiting for Joella to come across the villain. So I'll just draw my card, which is a magic spell. Good. Force missile. Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to explore.
Oh, I forgot to flip my blessing.
Oh, and I've...
And now we get to do yours, which is Aristil, which adds 2 to a dexterity combat. That would be good for me with my light crossbow, but
Wooden shield. Constitution, Fortitude 4. My constitution's a D8. I'm just gonna roll a D8. I got a 3, I failed.
So you failed, so it goes bye-bye.
I do not want to use my Blessing of the Gods to search again, so I'm just gonna end my turn.
Okay. Flip my blessing. And I found a skeleton. Now, the skeleton is immune to the mental and poison traits, and if your check to defeat him has either the slashing or piercing trait, the difficulty to defeat the skeleton is increased by 3. So yeah, you want to use bludgeoning weapons against the skeletons. Which, I happen to pick one up. I have a quarterstaff now. So for your combat check, reveal this card to roll your strength or melee die, which is a d4, plus a d6. You may additionally discard this card to add another d6, which I'm going to do. So I've got 2 d6 and a d4, and I need an 8 to defeat him. So let's roll and see. I got 8 plus 2 is 10. Enough to defeat the skeleton. He's gone. That's the end of my turn. I'll just draw my card, Lightning Touch, and I'll say go Joella.
Okay, so the Blessing of
Pharasma, which adds 2 dice when you play a spell. You're getting all the blessings I need.
Force.
There's the bandit.
Before encounter, recharge a card from your choice from your hand. Well, I
would recharge the thieves' tools.
That's what I was thinking.
Let's hope you draw a Blessing of the Gods.
Sage's Journal.
Which is just as good.
That's true.
Okay, so he's a combat 8.
Yes, so I'm going to use my long spear for my strength or melee die, which is a d10, as well as a d8. As well, I could reveal the Sage's Journal to defeat a henchman or a villain.
Not defeat, to add a dice when you fight them.
Add a dice when I fight them.
A d4.
A d4. That's what I meant to say.
Okay, now you also get plus 3.
Yes.
So the minimum you can roll, if you roll 3 1s, is a 6. So I think you're good. I wouldn't use any blessings on this roll.
8, 1, and 1 is a 10.
Is 10 plus 3?
Plus 3 is 13.
So you defeated the bandit. He goes away. Now, would you like to attempt to close this location? It says succeed at a dexterity or stealth 6 check.
Dexterity is an 8.
I think we should try to close it, because if you succeed, we look through the deck to see if the villain's there. If he is, you banish every other card except him, and he becomes the last card in the deck.
Okay, I will attempt to close the location.
Okay, I'll use a Blessing of the Gods for you to give you an extra dice. So what's your dexterity?
My dexterity is a d8.
So you're going to get to roll 2 d8s, and you need to roll a 6.
Now, should I use the Blessing of the Gods?
I would save it for the bad guy.
A 7 and a 4 is 11.
So that's enough to close the location. Now it says, when you end your turn here, you may bury a card from your hand to recharge a card from your discard pile.
I'm going to...
Well, we don't have to do that right now. But so we look through, we find there's the villain. So we put him face down, he becomes, and all the rest of the cards get removed.
Okay.
Okay. Would you like to end your turn, or do you want to fight him right now? I would wait a turn.
I'm gonna wait because I don't think I have proper gear for him.
Okay. So for my turn, I'm going to flip the Blessings deck first for a Wisdom card. And I find a battered chest, which is Dexterity Disable or Strength Melee 8. Well, the good news is I have Thieves' Tools in my hand. Discard this card to defeat a barrier whose highest difficulty to defeat is 11 or lower. So I will discard my Thieves' Tools to automatically defeat it because it's a 10 and an 8. So it's lower than 11. So it's gone. It says, if defeated, add a d4 random items from the box to your hand. And I keep rolling a 1 with my d4, which is totally fine by me. So I find one random item. And that item is a potion of hiding, which is banish and choose a character at your location to succeed at a stealth check. Well, there's not much more I can do. Got a lot of cards in my discard pile, but Joella's all the way over there, so I'm just going to end my turn and hope I draw a blessing. I don't think I will, but nope, the cure spell.
Well,
so, I think we'll be okay.
I think I have 5 to 6 cards in my discard pile, so I should be okay.
Okay, so it's your turn. It's a blessing of the gods. Now, we know it's the villain, so go ahead and flip him over.
If you haven't noticed, we sheeted our cards.
Jubrail Visky. And he says, before the encounter, recharge 2 cards from your hand. I'm going to suggest the Chainmail
Okay.
and the Sage's Journal. When you recharge in this scenario from a monster's ability, you draw a card to replace every card that you recharged. So you're going to get to draw 2 cards.
Another chainmail and a mace.
Okay. Now, you found the villain,
Yes.
so I'm going to attempt to close my location. And here's where it's going to get really tricky. Because I need a wisdom or survival 6. Well, my wisdom is only a d6. So, I'm going to ask you if you would use your blessing on me.
I can do that.
I know it will leave you without a blessing for the bad guy, but
That's true.
let's roll and see. I need a 6. And of course, I rolled a 5. So I failed to close the location, and I burned up one of Joella's blessings, which doesn't really help our cause. So, even if Joella manages to defeat him, oh, and this is actually not closed because he's still there. If Joella does defeat him, he's going to run away to my location, and there's nothing I can do about it. So Joella, go ahead.
Okay, I have my long spears, probably a better choice than my mace.
Well, with the long spear, you'll get 2 dice and a reroll, whereas the mace gives you 3 dice.
Oh yes, that's right, the mace does. So I get a D10, a D8,
And I believe you can discard it for a d6.
discard it to a D4.
Oh, a d4 is it?
D4.
Okay. I think you rolled a d6 earlier, but it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, it gets recharged.
Okay, and I get a +3. And he is a 10. Let's hope I roll high. I got a 7, 8, and 3 is
11.
11.
So that's enough to destroy him. So he automatically closes the location and runs and hides in the woods.
Does he get another blessing attached to him?
Nope, because it's the only location that's open. He doesn't pull any blessings with him.
So I am going to end my turn. I'm going to drop to my hand size of 4.
Okay. I've only got 2 cards left in my deck.
I suggest you heal
Now,
yourself.
the rule is if you'd have to draw a card and you can't, your character's defeated and killed. So yeah, at the start of my turn, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play the cure spell.
Are you going to flip over a blessing first, or are you going to cure?
I'll flip a blessing.
Thank you.
I have to roll a d4, and I get to add +1. Oh, I rolled a 2 this time, so I'm actually going to get 3 of these cards back. Oops. Oops, give it a good shuffle. So that brings my deck total up to 5, which is good. So 1, 2, 3. Give this a shuffle. Roll my recharge for cure, which is a d10 +1. I need an 8. Rolled a 7. Get to recharge cure. And then for my turn, I will explore. I found another skeleton. I think I'm going to play Lightning Touch on this skeleton. So I get to roll my Arcane die plus 2d4. I get a +1.
Do I get to assist you with the D4? That's
Nope,
not a combat check.
You're not in my location.
Oh, I thought it was over there.
Okay, so I'll roll. I need an 8. And I get +1. So I get 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 plus 1 is 12, which is enough to defeat the skeleton. So he's gone.
Well, that's good to hear.
Let's roll to see if I recharge this. It's an Arcane 6. I get a D10 plus 1. 10. I think that recharges it. I will then end my turn and draw 2 cards.
So I'm going to go join him at that location.
Okay.
Now.
You ready?
Yes, I am.
The Enchanter.
Ooh.
She's not very nice.
No, she's not.
It says the difficulty to defeat this encounter is increased by the adventure deck number of the current scenario, which is 0, so she's an 8. But it says before the encounter, she deals 1 force damage to you.
So I should get rid of one of my chainmail.
Yeah, that would probably be good.
Because it's it's not a weapon, so I have to discard it.
You would have to discard it anyway.
Yeah.
You don't get to recharge damage.
Okay. Alright, so...
She's a combat 8.
Combat 8. Now I believe we were saying that my mace is better.
Now, here's where I would roll the long spear.
The long spear, okay. Why is that?
Because at the end of the encounter, she's going to hit you for 1 more damage. She's going to do a fire damage to you, so you're going to have to discard a card. So if you manage to roll really good on your long spear, you'll still have 3 cards in your hand. If you fail, you can discard it to roll again, and then when she hits you for 1, you can lose like your chainmail and keep your mace.
Okay, good suggestion. So I have my D10 and I have my D8.
Yeah, and I will recharge a card to give you a D4.
And I get +3. And she is an 8.
She's an 8.
Oh, I thought she was a 10.
No, she's only an 8.
I rolled a 2, 8 is 10, and a 4 is 14.
Which is enough to defeat her. Now, as she's going away, she explodes and does 1 fire damage to you.
1 fire damage, and I will get rid of my chainmail.
Okay. Well, here you could lose one of your weapons.
I could. Now, in this case, what would be the better one to discard?
That's up to you.
I'll get rid of my mace. And because it's a weapon, I can recharge it?
No, because it's damage.
Okay. I'm going to end my turn.
Okay. How many cards are left in your deck? It's looking pretty low, too.
I have 3. I would like to be, hopefully...
Well, if I draw
healed.
the cure spell, I'll heal you, but I don't know if I'll draw it again really soon.
Okay. My turn.
So at the start of my turn, I'm not going to use my power, so I'm just going to encounter.
Draw a blessing.
And it's the villain. Oh, yes. Desna, which adds to recharging a card. Okay, we found the villain, honey. Before the encounter, I have to recharge 2 cards. So I'm going to charge a crossbow and a Blessing of the Gods, because I can only use 1 blessing in this combat anyway. And I get to draw 2 cards. I got Caltrops and Detect Magic.
Oh, that's good.
So, I'm going to start combat. I'm going to play Force Missile, which will give me a D10 and 2D4, +1. I'm also going to use my Blessing of the Gods to give me another D10.
And I can give you a D4.
And Joella's special power gives me a D4. So we'll roll. I need a 10, and I get +1. Well, there's a 10 right there. 11, 12, 13, 14, 18 plus 1 is 19. That's enough to destroy Jubrail Visky. So he's gone, and it closes the location, and all the cards go away. We've finished the scenario, and we both managed to survive.
Yes.
Now, at the bottom of each card, it tells you here the reward for if you succeed at the encounter. And it says each character draws a random item from the box. So Joella's going to find
Holy water.
And I found holy water as well. 2 holy waters, not bad. So they get added to our deck, along with all the cards that we found in the adventure, plus anything that got buried also goes back into your deck. Just going to do a little cleanup here. We had lots of blessings left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So
that's really
we
good.
went about 2/3 of the way through the blessings deck. Okay? Now at the end of the scenario, you lay out all your cards that you've earned, along with what you had in your deck before. Because you have to rebuild your character based on what is supposed to be in their deck. When we started, we did this off camera. We built our own character decks to play through this adventure. So like for example, Lem only gets 1 weapon. And as you can see, I managed to pick up a quarterstaff and a short bow during this adventure as well. I'm going to hold on to the light crossbow because it's one of my favorite basic starting weapons, and I'll get rid of the other 2. Now, the thing is, any cards I find, Joella can take if she wants them and likes them. So that's kind of what's really neat, is anything you find, you divvy up at the end as if it was like the RPG it's supposed to be like, I guess is a better word to say. So you kind of get to build your character, and it will increase and get better as games go on. Like I only have 4 spells, there was no spells in that adventure, so I'm going to keep the 4 spells, and so on and so forth. Like I get to start with 5 Blessings of the Gods, which means I got 1 extra that's going to come out. For items, I get, my character here says he gets 2 items. I started with Thieves' Tools and Amulet of Life. The potions and caltrops are pretty good. Holy water is pretty good for fighting undead, but I think I'm going to hold on to those 2. And finally, allies. I found a soldier who says recharge this card to add a d4 to your melee combat check. Well, that would be good if I used a lot of melee. I don't, but Joella does. If she wants to, she can take this soldier and replace either her crow or her sage. Now her sage gives her a d6 extra dice to a
intelligence or wisdom,
whereas the crow gives you an extra d6 anytime you try to acquire a weapon, an armor, or an item. Which Valeros uses lots of weapons and lots of armor.
So I think I'm going to keep my crow and get rid of my sage.
Okay, so I can keep the soldier instead. Okay? And then also, she's got Thieves' Tools, which are good for getting through barriers. She's also got the Sage's Journal, which helps against henchmen and villains. But she just picked up Holy Water. I'm thinking Holy Water won't be that good, because she only gets 2 items in her deck.
Yes.
So, after all that's done, you get how many weapons? 5, and you have 5?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
3 armors.
1, 2, 3.
And then I believe you're 2 allies, 2 items, and 3 blessings.
Yes.
So, that's going to be your deck. And that's the end of Brigandoom, the first adventure. Join us next time when we decide to go after part 2 of the Perils of the Lost Coast, which is the Poison Pill. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you guys all later.